did like $1 million in our first year. So like just the advocacy business alone does 25, 30 million bucks. We get, almost 10 million views a month every month on Instagram. And the number one thing is just being yourself. Ads only really started to work for me when it wasn't that I understood ads more, but I understood what made ads feasible.
Hey, it's Konstantin. You're listening to the Freedom Podcast. I just returned from Sydney, had an incredible guest on the show. His name is Jack Henderson, the founder of Henderson Advocacy. It's one of the largest buyers agencies in Australia. They've literally helped thousands of high-income earners invest in quality property. Beyond that, Jack himself owns a massive property portfolio worth over $70 million. And just a couple months ago, the business hit a record milestone of $5.5 million a month. And all this before Jack turning 30 years old, right? Which is absolutely insane. This podcast is going to be an absolute masterclass on business growth, property investing. You'll walk away with actionable daily steps to take in your business journey, in your property journey, to get you to the next business milestone, to get you to the second, third, maybe even your 10th property. Right? And the first question I asked Jack, because he came from humble beginnings, right? He actually got kicked out of high school at 16 years old and he started working in construction, right? So my first question was whether he envisioned himself being in the situation that he is in right now.
It's a good question. I knew I wanted to do something with my life. But the challenge with my life right now, it feels normal, and because it's happened so slowly, it doesn't feel like I live this fucking incredible life. Even though I am living an amazing life and I'm very grateful for it, the life I'm living right now feels no different to me to the life I was living when I was young. Obviously I wasn't driving back then, but you drive a better car and live in a nicer suburb and all the rest of it. But I guess the challenge with us as human beings is that we just become accustomed to what our norm is. So, I obviously understand I do a lot of stuff that normal people don't do, but it's a weird thing because I often think I'm like, fuck, I live such an amazing life. But then because it's changed so slowly. Like, you move out of home. I moved into another place, and then I moved into Coogee, which was just like a normal apartment, and then I moved into a slightly better place, and then I moved into you make these little incremental changes and you can't really remember what it was like at the start, right? Yeah, and same as cars, it's like you start off with my first ever car was a 2.8 Hi8, and then I bought a BMW, an old BMW 320, and then I got a Holden Ute, and then my first Mercedes. But because it happened so long over a long period of time, it just feels normal. And there's pros and cons. Like, my life is really stressful in its current form. There's lots of shit going on. I got lots of responsibilities, and if I go back to when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I don't think I had any stress or any I didn't really care about shit, but I had different things. So there are pros and cons to everything, right? Would I go back to being 18 years old now and give up the life that I have? And I think I would. I think I would go back 10 years or 12 years and have that time back to live those 12 years again. But who knows? I live a good life. I'm enjoying it. But there are definitely pros and cons. That's what I want to get at.
Yeah, it all starts with a single action, single step, and over time you get kind of conditioned to the new levels of success that you experience.
It doesn't feel like success. That's the thing. It just feels like your life. To other people, it looks successful, but to you, you're like, fuck, this is just my life. And my definition of success is like someone that's so much further ahead of me. But to me, to other people, I'm the definition of success. So that's
How did you, in such crazy way, been able to really separate yourself from the pack? Like, what inspired you to invest in that first property and get into the property game?
I had a mentor, which I'd found on YouTube, Chris Gray, who I'm actually doing a talk with in a couple of weeks' time. That was essentially what got me interested in property. But I always wanted to be rich. I was young. I wanted to live an amazing life. I wanted to do all the things that I'm doing now. And obviously, the way that you think about it when you're 16 and the reality of it is when you're doing it are two very different things. But it was something that I understood. It was something that I liked. Like I always liked real estate. I actually wanted to be an architect when I was in school, which obviously has a lot to do with property. But it was just a thing that I did. I was 18. I had the deposit. I bought my first property, and that was it. And from there, the second property came and the third property came, and it just sort of snowballed into what it is right now. But same thing, because it happens so slowly, it's, I get to the point now, I'm like, how the fuck did I do all this stuff? But it doesn't really feel like I've done a lot because it's just, been 10 or 12 years I've been doing it.
Incredible stuff. And through this journey, you've grown, your business just absolutely exploded, right? Like you almost became an expert in business growth in itself.
Yeah.
There's a lot
accidentally.
There's a lot of hungry business owners wanting to level up, go to that next level. And you've gone through so many different stages of your business growth as well. I'm really interested in, can you take us back to the moment you started until 1 million a year, and then from 1 million to 5, and then from 5 to pretty much like 10, 20, 50, where you're at right now? And what are some of the changes that you had to make, maybe mentally, or you hired the key staff that really unlocked that next level stage of growth?
Well, we did like $1 million in our first year. So, like we work in an industry where obviously, we charge big fees, or we're in an industry where you earn big fees. So like to do $1 million in revenue really isn't all that hard if you're having a crack. So that was just me and like 2 other people. I was the buyer's agent. I was out there doing all the deals, doing the sales calls. Like I was doing everything. So that was how we got to $1 million. I sold to one person, which were owner-occupier buyers in the eastern suburbs. We sold one way, which was outbound dialing, booking people in for discovery calls and having, sort of face-to-face or sales calls on Teams. And then, we just did that over and over again. And we did the first year, my first ever year, I did roughly $1 million of gross fees. I didn't get all of that because I was a contractor to another firm. But the second year I was in business, which was the first year, or the second year I was in the property, which was the first year I was in my own business. Yeah, we did like $3 million or something. And then it took us a little while. Like we did 3, and then we did 4 something, and then we went back to 3. Like there was a few years there where we were like, between that sort of 3 and 5 mark, and then we had a really big jump from like 3 to maybe 6.5 or something, and then from 6.5 to 15 or 20, and then 20 to where we are right now. And I guess you take, there's a few things. Obviously, you need to be a good operator. You need to have the skill set. You need to have a really good team around you. Like everyone knows those things, but there's also like market things that allow you to move, right? Like obviously the real estate market this year, there's a lot of shit going against it. You got tax, like we're going to talk about, but like, you need to make sure that you're set up for growth, but then also the market is ready for the growth as well. Because it's very hard. For example, you look at AI at the moment, would have been significantly harder to grow an AI company 10 or 15 years ago because the technology and the market wasn't there to support AI, right? Now though, everything is AI. So if you start an AI company, it would be significantly easier to grow it today than it would have been 10 or 15 years ago. So that's also the thing you need to understand. It's like you can be an amazing operator, you can have all the skills, you can have a great team, but if the market's not where it should be or not moving in the right direction for your business, it makes it very, very hard. And then obviously on the inverse to that, or flip side to that, it's like if the market's moving against your business, it makes it very hard to grow it. So, it's like every year we've tried to make changes that allow us to grow, and we've vertically integrated different verticals or different businesses into our group. So we go all the way now from finance to advisory and acquisition to building and construction to asset management, and obviously then we do our own developments as well. So we sort of do everything end to end and accounting. But that didn't happen overnight. It was a slow progression. As the business got bigger and it made more sense, we added it.
Was that sort of like the ecosystem that you had to build to go from like 6.5 to like 20 plus?
Yeah, we could have done, like just the advocacy business alone does 25, 30 million bucks. So that's just advisory. So we can do that with just advocacy, but it makes our core offering more valuable when we can build a second dwelling, for example, for a client, or we can do a development, we can do it all in-house. So that's why it makes sense to have the building arm, and that's what obviously gives you more revenue and the ability to charge more in our core business. Then you obviously capture the finance and capture all the other bits and bobs.
Incredible. And what also impressed me, you're pretty much like one of the larger personal brands, especially in your space here in Australia. And I can see on Instagram, like you're posting like sometimes twice a day, 3 times. And you've been
5 or 6 times most days.
And so consistent as well. Could you, I think that's an incredible lever to pull as a business owner if you got those systems and processes in place. Could you talk about like your routine for recording or posting these posts and what sort of team structure you've got?
Joel's here. I don't have one. That's the thing. Joel tries to give me the structure and times, but like it's not unfortunately how I'm wired. Like content for me is something that I've done from day dot. So like just like I get up and train every single morning. It's just a part of my life now. It's not like I get up and I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to go train. It's just like, oh, got to get up at 5 in the morning or 4:30 and train. And content's the same for me. Like I don't get to the office and I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to go shoot content now. I'm just like, I've got free time. There hasn't been a video posted for a few hours. I'll go shoot a video. Like it's just a part of my day, and it's because I did it from day one. And it's the same thing. It compounds. Like it's such a weird thing. I honestly wish human brains could just be rewound, and then you could like live out those previous moments and actually remember it clearly, because like, I got whatever 260,000 or close to it on Instagram followers, and we get, almost 10 million views a month every month on Instagram. But I remember not really clearly, but clearly enough, only fucking 4 years ago, we had like 10,000 followers or less. And like a good reel would get 10,000 views, but because you're just consistent with it, and again, the market moved with it. Like, so many people now are going to socials. It's easier to sell through socials now. Obviously property's always in the media. I did a few things that were good, like a red hat, for example, just happened to be a good idea. And then all of a sudden, boom, it explodes. So the number one thing is just being yourself, without a doubt. And it is knowing that you have to do it every day. Content is an everyday thing. Something I'm not good at is YouTube. And the reason I'm not good at YouTube is because it's something you need to sit down for an hour or two. You need to plan YouTube, and I'm not good at that stuff. So I struggle with, like, we do lives where I can just talk like this. They ask questions and I interact. But for me to plan a YouTube video and write it out like these guys do, it's fucking crazy. But I'm not wired that way.
What time you guys post? Like when do you record content?
None of that shit matters. All the shit that people think. Yeah, but like I post, let's have a look. The reason I say none of it matters is because the incremental gain you get from like posting at, say, prime time in the morning, which might be like 7 a.m., for example, versus posting at 11 p.m. in the night, but posting a banger bit of content, like there's no comparison. All of those things are like the 1%ers. You post at the right time and you fucking have the right hook and all that shit. They're all 1%ers. You could have the worst hook ever. You could post at the worst time ever, but post an incredible bit of content, meaning it's valuable to whoever's watching it, which means it could be funny. It could be, gossip, for example. Like it could be a celebrity doing something, or it could be fucking educational, like I do. That will crush way harder and will make a much more significant dent on getting views than like, all the things that people generally think about, like, oh, we need to post at the right time. And just to give context to it, like...
And in terms of consistency, like, do you record
all day, every day, baby, that's it. Yeah, I mean, I generally record in blocks. So like this podcast, for example, will get chopped up into content. So I'm shooting content right now, but I wouldn't be able to stand here and shoot an hour of piece to camera.
Like,
Correct. But I can talk for an hour and then they get chopped up. That's generally how I do it best. But if we just look at content, because it's obviously something that I'm pretty well known for. So yesterday we did, what did we do yesterday? This is 2 days ago. So yesterday we did a video that got posted in the morning at like maybe, what time is it scheduled for, Joel? Maybe like 7 or 8? 7. Yeah, so that one goes out at 7. That got 16,000 views, 180 likes, 175 cents, so that was good. Then I posted another one later in the day of just me talking over the top of a green screen. So this was an old video that was repurposed. So that's a lot of a hack that people should do. Any good bit of content that you've posted in the past, people have the fucking brain size of a goldfish at the moment. So like you could repost it and they probably don't even know they've watched it before. And then we posted this one, which was me just talking over a bit of, content on a political subject. Anything political does really, really well. That's got 150,000 and 2,000 likes, 750 cents. Then I posted another one later in the day, which again was a green screen. I recorded this on my phone. Significantly lower views, but it's a bit of content that only relates to people that are interested in our services. And then I got posted another one last night, got posted, which I was a collaborator on from a podcast. So that was 4 yesterday.
Naturally,
this was last night as well. That's 5 yesterday, and then this was the first one today.
Naturally, you could use these ones for paid ads as well.
For sure.
Of your content.
Absolutely, and then use them for story posts and everything else. But yeah, I'm trying to post we schedule 2 a day, and I try and do 2 post myself a day. Yeah, raw is the best. Raw outperforms edited 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, like a really good bit of raw content versus a really good bit of post-produced content, raw will win. But obviously you can't be posting 9 constantly, right? You need the post-produced stuff to always go out, and some of those things absolutely slap.
Incredible stuff. And at which stage have you introduced paid advertising, and at which stage would generally businesses...
Dude, it took me fucking ages to get paid ads to work. I remember when we were owner-occupier and paid ads didn't really work for owner-occupier, but we never even tried them, to be honest, but we just used to do heaps of outbound calling, get lead lists, and just dial nonstop. We generated so much business like that. Then I moved from the owner-occupier space into the investment space, and obviously the investment space in our world is where you generate leads online. So I worked with these guys. No, they taught me a lot about ads, but it took me fucking years, 2 years, I reckon, to get over $1,000 a day of ad spend. Because I just could never make it work. We didn't have the cash flow. It's a hard thing to do, and they would just constantly break even, and we'd spend X amount of dollars, but we'd only generate that much revenue. We wouldn't collect enough up front to make ads work, and ads only really started to work for me when it wasn't that I understood ads more, but I understood what made ads feasible. Meaning, you can't go spend $10,000 on ads if you're only going to get $5,000 off that client up front, because you're a $5,000 negative. Even if the client's worth more to the company than $5,000, if you're only collecting $5,000 off them, but you're spending $10,000, you're going to run out of money. And that's what I kept facing every month. I was like, fuck, we keep spending all this money, but we're not generating enough cash. So when I changed how we collect cash of our clients, it was way easier to run ads. When I understood our unit economics better, it was way easier to run ads. When I understood how to actually shoot ads, our ads worked way better. And then, obviously there's all the other things like the VSL and shit like that. But yeah, it took me a long time. And it was only that I needed to get more educated around it myself that then I understood it.
Yeah, incredible stuff. So organic first, and then once you got organic ranking, then you can also do some split tests with paid ads.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not just ads that you need to run, right? If you haven't got a good sales team, you're going to generate all these leads and not be able to sell them, right? So that's also another issue. It's not just the fact of turning an ad on and getting leads in, especially when you have a really high ticket service offering and a niche service offering like we do.
Awesome. And you spoke just briefly around mentors. You're known for investing a ton in mentors. To what degree do you feel like that has been contributing to your success as well?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is not the mentors themselves, but just the mindset of constant learning. So I learn just as much online for free that I do in person with these people that I pay a lot of money. So it's just the mindset of knowing that I know nothing, and there's always someone out there that's better and smarter and doing a lot more than I'm doing, and making sure that you're always in that mindset. And if you spend money to get access to people and get more information than maybe you can get online, then that's not a bad thing, right? Because you're investing in yourself, and the smarter you get, you generally don't lose knowledge over time. You should compound it and stack it, and everything you do and learn should make you better and better long term. So that's what I focus on. But yeah, the awesome thing about being in person with people is that you realize that that person's not much different to what I am, and look what they've created. That's the cool thing, is that proximity and knowing that they're just a human being. Whereas you look at people online and you sort of give them what's that? you sort of give them like a god.
They become the guru in your
yeah,
mind.
yeah,
Kind of
like, but in reality, they're just a normal human being, and they're no different to you or I. So that's the good thing about being in person. It's like you're like, oh fuck, this guy shits and sleeps like I do, you know.
And so I love doing podcasts as well. It's just a form to connect with people that you see online and learn from them also in person, which is really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. It also helps to be able to talk as well, right? Like generally, you do much better online when you can talk, or you're funny, or you're just authentic. There's that guy. Have you seen him? He's like I think he's Down syndrome or something, and he just talks about chicken burgers all the time. He's got his brother who takes him everywhere. Have you seen him?
No,
it's fucking hilarious, man. He's built this huge personal brand because like he's got a brother, must be his carer, and he takes him around everywhere, and he just like chicken burger and fucking. He's huge, but it's just because he's funny and humorous and obviously authentic to himself. And I guess the reason I said that is because people are so worried about like, oh, what happens if this person thinks this of me, or like, oh, I'm not really unique, or I've got nothing to talk about. It's like everyone fucking is unique. Everyone's got their own quirks and stuff like that, and you just need to go out there because there's going to be people who watch your shit and think it's good.
Yeah, and what I love about your personal brand is that, especially in the property space and the buyer's agency space, people are so professional. People wearing suits and ties, and they're appearing so professional, where you're like completely the opposite. You've got like guarantees, you say outrageous shit online, right? And that, I think, like that contrast is what also created this brand and helped you really skyrocket it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's just me though. I'm not doing that I'm not like putting on a show. Like I say outrageous shit, I think funny things, and I'm not scared to say them. And I think there's a lot of people in the world that are like that, but they're just too scared to say it because of the blowback they might get. And there's pros and cons to it, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think if more people just leaned into who they are, what they believe, they would be way more successful.
Do you have tips for people though, just both in the business world as well in the professional space? We've got this, crazy tall poppy syndrome in Australia. It's like you have to stay small and you can't really speak out loud and all the kinds of things. How can people break out of their shells and just like really be themselves, both on camera as well as in personal life?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have thick skin. That's one thing. Fuck, if you read some of the comments I get, fuck, I want to kill myself. It's just a part of it. Like, it's not just Australia. People say tall people syndrome is just Australia. It's bullshit. It's just humans in general. Humans, there is a segment of the human population that look at other humans that are more successful than what they are or have something that they don't. And they go, well, the reason that you have that is the exact reason that I don't have it. So fuck you. That's just, it is what it is. And there's probably a little bit of truth to what everyone says. So tall poppy syndrome is obviously a thing. People want to tear you down and all the rest of it. But I'm also like conscious to the fact that if someone writes something or says something and I get a little bit offended by it, there's probably some truth to that. So like, it's right. Like they're like, whatever. And like I know when I step over the line a little bit or say something maybe I shouldn't, or, generally I know I'm pushing it too far when I go and ask the team, hey, should I post this? That's usually a good scale as to whether or not I'm going too far. But I don't know, you just got to fucking roll with the punches. But obviously having a brand and being online and saying things that people don't like there's pros and cons to it. Don't get me wrong. Like look at someone like Kyle Sandilands, right? Like a lot of people dislike him. A lot of people like him, but he gets a lot of shit for it because that's who he is. But would he be the person he is and as successful he is if he wasn't as open? So yeah.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And besides like the branding and business growth, you've briefly touched upon that ecosystem that you've built within Henderson Advocacy. I've recently seen one of the bigger buyers agency in your space gone out of business. And that also made me realize like how fragile and how static the business model really is. It's just traditionally they help people invest in one property. And that's kind of like where the relationship really ends. Can you talk to me about Henderson Advocacy and what sort of like range of services that you guys offer that really helps you protect your brand as well?
I mean, yeah, but that business that went out of business, everyone likes to throw shit. But like the reality is business is fucking hard, and like in business, you never want to give up. and everyone, I've seen so many people like, oh, they were collecting money off people when, they knew they were going out of business and all the rest of it. But it's like when you're in business, even if you are almost about to go out of business, I'm assuming you don't accept that. You're like, no, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to fight through it. Regardless of how good your business model is, there's always someone gunning for you. There's always whether it's an individual or whether it's a change in fucking government or whatever it is, there's always something happening where you've got to be on your toes and you've got to push hard, like with digital marketing. It's like, well, AI is out now. And that's not something you can control. And how many people use AI for shit now and don't use marketing? Or there's those guys who fucking say, you fucking don't use a digital marketing person, use us, we'll teach you how to do it yourself. So there's always fucking something coming at you, right? That's the reality of business. Yeah. So we have built a business where we have multiple, verticals. We've got the finance and the accounting on the front end. We've got our advisory and our advocacy business or our buyer's agency. And then we've got our construction business. And then we've got our asset management business. Oh, yawning, I'm tired. And, obviously we generate revenue through all of those things, but the vast majority of the revenue comes from one of those businesses. And all those other businesses just make that one business and our service offering stronger and more valuable to our clients. But again, there is so many pros to it, but there's also cons to it. When you just have a client come to you and you go buy them a property and that's all you do for them, very easy to excel at that, very easy business model. When you are doing their finance and their accounting and then their obviously the advisory, then once you buy a property for them, you do construction and building for them, then you manage the property on the back end. There's so many areas where you can make mistakes that doesn't just reflect on that one little part, it reflects on the whole business. So that's a learning that I've gone through. It's like you can do an exceptional job 4 out of the 5 steps, have one issue, and that can all of a sudden, change that client's perspective of your business to, not what it really is. So yeah, again, pros and cons. I always say that. There's so many good. There's good and bad to everything. Business is fucking hard, regardless of how good your business model is. And every day you've got to have your foot to the floor.
What were some of the toughest times in your business and how were you able to overcome them?
Oh, fuck, there's so many stressful times and moments, but probably 2023, I'd say, we got hammered in the media for something that wasn't even true. That obviously decimated our business. My partner had health issues. That was just a really, really hard year. And again, it's you can just fold when those things happen and move on, or you can bite down and fucking push harder. And I'm sure I'm going to go through a lot more challenging times in the future. That's just a reality of life and business. But yeah, it's obviously the constant doubt as well. It's easy to look like you're positive and not worrying to the public eye. But the reality is when you're growing something fast and you've got lots of staff and, I've got a lot of property and all that shit, fucking weighs on you, man. You get stressed and you go, what the fuck am I doing this? And you get anxious. That's the stuff where people are these people are so successful. And I'm sure I look at people way ahead of me fuck, it's so amazing, so successful. But the reality is a lot of it is very, very stressful and intense.
The peace of mind deteriorates with business growth, yeah.
Yeah, it's for the 20 to 30% of amazing times you have, you've got to go through 70% fucking shit times to get them. You know what I mean? So, even on holidays, I just got back from an amazing holiday, but it's you work all year to be able to afford to go on a holiday like that. You go on the holiday, 1 week you're sort of cruising because the business has still got momentum from you not being there, and then the second week you're fuck, what's happening? You start to get stressed, and the third week I'm what the fuck am I here? I'm I'm in a different part of the world, working on my phone, stressed as a fuck. I just want to be back at work. So it's a fucking disease. That's what it is.
Yeah, there's definitely sacrifices in the business, like the peace of mind that you mentioned. Like that's definitely with our digital marketing business. There's always something happening, something breaking. With AI now popping in as well. Like it is a mental thing for sure.
It's every business. It's every business. But obviously, if you're an employee of a company, you've got your own worries. So yeah, everyone worries with shit.
Now, thank you so much for sharing like your journey with your business growth, with your mindset, with the how you build a brand, how you build the ecosystem. I would love to talk about property because just like you've grown your business, your property portfolio also skyrocketed. You own 17 properties now.
Something like that, yeah.
Can you walk me through, in a similar way, like your journey from like 1 to 4 property, what kind of property you purchased, then from 4 to 10?
Yeah.
And then like where you are right now and what sort of property purchases you made right now?
Yeah, so the first sort of 4 properties they're actually apartments. So just 2-bedroom apartments in small blocks in good parts of Sydney. So I had first one in Coogee, second one in Maroubra, third one was in Bar Beach, Newcastle, and then I bought my fourth one in Newcastle as well. And then 4 to 8 or 4 to 10, like I bought a little bit more sort of resi, and I started to buy some things that I could add some value to because I obviously had a bit of equity and I started to increase my income. So that obviously helped. And then I guess from 10 plus, like a lot of the property I buy now is, you know, sort of $3 to $10 million commercial style assets. You know, they're active assets. I've got wedding venues or properties that we, you know, run as wedding venues and farming properties. So, I can't stop yawning. Say water. So, yeah, essentially, like, it's the exact strategy we use for our clients. So, like, you start and you just want to build a solid foundation. You just want to get some really good properties that you can always go back to, release equity. They're always rented. They have minimal maintenance issues. Not none, but minimal. And they're properties you hold forever. Then you start to go up the ladder a little bit and you start buying properties where you can add some value to them. They're probably at slightly higher purchase prices, a bit more of an opportunity. You know, and then obviously as you make more money and you get more equity and more capital, then you start to roll into your bigger commercial assets, which means you need to buy less of them because they're at a higher dollar value, but you need more money to get into them and they generally produce better income. So, you know, that's how I built the portfolio to date, and I'll continue to build it. Like, it doesn't really make much sense for me now to go and buy $500,000 or $600,000 properties.
You wouldn't go ahead and just stack those like signature YAM properties that you, for instance, have where you got like 20 or 30.
Nah, because there's other things that come into it, right? Like you do 20 or 30 resi assets, you've got 20 or 30 sets of tenants, you've got fucking maintenance issues.
Complexity
you've got,
rises as well.
Yeah, land tax issues. Like it's just, yeah, you want to make it simple. So like, you know, there's a lot of guys that have got huge amounts more properties than me volume-wise, but like I know what it's like to look after the properties that I have now. I could not imagine what it's like to have like 50 or 100 residential properties. It'd be crazy. There'd be something happening every day, constant, like tenant issue, this, that. Be no good.
What would be for you sort of like you're at the 70 million? Like, would you keep stacking those commercial assets and then going up in value as well, potentially buying 100 million buildings, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, like we like stuff now where we can run a business out of the real estate. So that's what I like. It's like, you know, we've got the farming properties, Settlers and Minimbar House, but then we can also run wedding venues out of them. So, you know, that's where you're combining the real estate plus our business skill to be able to make those assets more valuable. I like that stuff. It's fun.
Plus, you own all of your offices as well, right? Like, which is pretty crazy. So
yeah,
you've got
I'm trying
one
to settle
company.
on my Sydney one at the moment. It's a fucking pain in the ass, but anyway.
Yeah, what happened there?
Oh, it's like that. It's all the stuff you don't see, right? It's like there's always fucking issues with like finance or, you know, timing and shit like that. And that's the stressful stuff. It's like you see these headline numbers, but like that shit don't happen. You just like go and buy a property, there's no issues, you move on. You know, like, yeah, there was like a finance issue. There was a complete fuck up with finance and how it was meant to be settled, which means now we're over settlement in default period, paying penalty interest. Like it's a fucking pain in the ass. And obviously when you get to our scale, it's not an easy walk into the bank, get a fucking loan, you're done. Like commercial loans they look at the overall business and yeah, there's a lot to it.
Have you got tips for business owners? Like I saw in one of your videos, it's like you mentioned that you shouldn't, as a business owner, just reinvest all of your profits into your business. Right? You should also have property investing on the side
You
as
should
well.
have investments outside of your business for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, if you've got 100% of your net worth tied up in your business, if something happens with your business, you're fucked. And, you know, a lot of businesses go out of business or they make a lot of money for a period of time and then, you know, something changes and that same business that was crushing it now struggles. So that's the that's the big thing. But then also when you've got assets outside of your business, it can actually help your business. You've got things to be able to leverage off. You've got collateral, and that makes business much easier. So, I don't think people should just run business and not do anything outside of their business. But a lot of people struggle to run a business profitably, right? They don't want to pay tax and all the rest of it. So, I also understand that a lot of businesses don't just print money. It's like it's a battle. But if you've got a business that makes good money, yeah, you should definitely do stuff outside of it.
And you also talk a lot about the structure. You need the right structure in place in order to facilitate this growth as well. You can't just keep buying property in your personal name. I've read one of your free reports where you've got a holding company, you've got an investment company, and you've got that structure in place. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as everyone would know that's been impacted by the budget changes, one structure is that is right now may not be right in the future. With these trust changes, for example, that was the right structure, and now it's like, well, what else do you do? So this is one structure where instead of having your trading company held by a trust, which is very, very common, you have your trading company held by a holding company, and that allows you to do things like push profits out of your trading company into that holding company, gets them off the balance sheet of your trading company, removes the risk, and you can also then reinvest there, into investment companies, for example, and you can keep it within a 25% tax environment. And then obviously, the way that you buy real estate is again important. So like if you're funding a lot of these real estate deals through cash in or cash that comes out of your trading company, then you probably want to make sure you pay as minimal tax as possible on that. If you push the money out of your trading company to you as an individual, you'll pay a top-up tax up to 47%. If you push the money from a trading company into a trust, for example, that's not the shareholder of your company, you'll create a Division 7A loan. Like, there's all these things that you need to consider. And that structure that you said there, where you have the holding co, you push up to the holding co, and then you can lend money from one company to another and not pay any top-up tax on that is a pretty efficient way to do it. But then there's obviously cons to that as well. You don't get a capital gains tax discount inside of a company, which has been deleted now anyway with the budget changes, so it actually makes that structure even better. You can't negatively gear. Again, it's been scrapped, so it's not a major deal. And then if you ever move money out of that company to you as an individual, you've got to pay the top-up tax. But you also get things like franking credits and stuff like that. So yeah, there's pros and cons.
You've got a few really nice cars. What sort of structure would you recommend to purchase?
It's hard.
Like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or Rolls Royce?
Yeah, probably in your personal name, unfortunately. If you buy it inside of a company, there's this thing called fringe benefits tax that you'll pay, like if you buy it inside of a trading company. So a lot of people think you just start a company and then go buy one of these cars, but if you do that, it'll cost you a significant amount of money. If you have lots of cars, there's probably ways where you can own them inside of a company and trade out of that company and like rent the cars out and stuff, and all of a sudden it's a business now, not for personal use. But if you're buying cars personally in Australia, like for you to drive personally, generally the best way to do it is in your personal name. Otherwise, you'll get smacked. You'll get smacked with tax. So like you can use equity, for example, out of properties to buy them and then sell the cars and pay the equity back. If you're using facilities or you're paying cash, but yeah, generally don't want to do it inside of a company because the ATO will fucking sting you.
You can't do it through an SMSF, right?
Cars. You can buy vintage cars or collecting. You can collect cars in an SMSF, but you can't drive them. They're meant to be an investment.
They recently also got rid of like investing through an SMSF, right? But
in residential
in residential, you can still do the commercial.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's something you guys do as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, for business owners, commercial is an incredible investment vehicle inside of your SMSF because you can be the tenant of that asset, and you can obviously rent it off yourself. Decrease the profit inside of your trading company where you would pay 25 or 30% tax. Continue to increase the rent on the commercial asset that you own, and the money flows out of your trading company into your SMSF. You have a deduction here, and then when it goes into your super fund, you're only paying 15% tax. So there's a 10% tax arbitrage, which is like getting a 10% return on your money for free just because you pay less tax. So that's a good thing.
Crazy, yeah. That's that's some next level stuff. Now I'm curious, through all these like systems and structures, what are some of the core offerings at Henderson Advocacy? How you guys actually help high income earners, business owners Can you walk me through some of your offerings that you guys do?
Yeah.
That create like the product.
So essentially, we like clients don't come to us just to buy one property. Like if you want to go buy one property, you probably should go elsewhere. Like clients come to us because they want an outcome, and that outcome is generally like I want a net asset value, I want to be able to retire, or I want a certain amount of income, and then obviously we build them out a portfolio plan, and then go and execute on that. And we've got strategies inside of the company where, you know, for residential assets, we're very big on value adds. You might buy a residential asset and add a second dwelling to it to double the rental income. We call that the YAM strategy, or the yield acceleration method. We've got another strategy where it's all about developing property, generating capital. So we'll buy an existing asset. We call it the HEF strategy, which is it's the Henderson equity factor, where we buy something, we subdivide, and we build a brand new thing on the back, or two assets on the back, and they're all on individual titles. That generates capital. Obviously got a commercial strategy, which generally comes further into your portfolio building, and that's generally for income, and we're selling down the resi assets to clear the debt. So the thing people come to us for is they come to build wealth, and that looks different for everyone. And then we've got multiple different property strategies inside of our wheelhouse that we then execute on them, and obviously get clients closer to their goal.
Crazy. Can you walk me through some of like the price points that you
purchase prices?
Like what it costs
most of our what it costs us to use our services. Like our entry level is 40 grand service fee, and then obviously like for our different strategies like YAM, it can be 60. We've got a private wealth service offering, which is a 5-year partnership, 250 grand. You know, so we have different tiers to our service, and then like the properties we purchase are generally like somewhere between 800, 900 grand to $2 million for resi, and then like 3 to 5 million plus for commercial.
Incredible stuff. Thank you, Jack, for sharing pretty much like your wealth journey through your business as well as your investment portfolio.
It's not done.
It's not done yet.
I'll keep fighting a good fight. Yeah.
What is your goal like for in the future, for the next decade, or Henderson Advocacy?
We want to grow an international company that's worth many, many, many billions of dollars. So that's the goal.
Do you have a plan for it? Like, is it?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, if I could tell you every single step, I'd be doing well. But like the reality is, our plan is to eventually transition into a fund model and raise capital and probably move heavily into the build to rent space.
Similar to what Grant Cardone does now in the States, where they buy like huge buildings, like 100 to 500 million, and then they raise rents on like 1,000 tenants in one go. Essentially, yeah. So they call that multifamily over there in the US. Similar model, which is in Australia now called build to rent. They generally get better yields in the US than we do in Australia. But a similar model, yeah. Like you raise funds, obviously, you bring your clients along for the journey, and you put in your own capital. And, instead of doing 100 individual assets that we might renovate or develop, we go and buy a site and build 100 in one. So that's the idea. Crazy leverage there. Now, we've talked about business growth. We talked about property. I'd love to dive into mindset. You're like clearly a very driven person. You execute on things very quickly. You're very consistent at a lot of things. Can you walk us through like your day-to-day structure and perhaps some of the tips that you've got to stay consistent health-wise, business-wise, and really stay motivated through the journey? It's fucking not easy. Like, motivation is not just something that naturally comes to people. It's something that you have to train, right? Like, it's very easy for me to wake up and go, fuck, I'm going back to sleep. But I also know that if I don't train in the morning, I generally have more anxiety during the day as I drink more coffee. Whereas if I train in the morning, I feel way better during the day and I perform better. So, that's just something I know. Where the same thing is if I drink and party, like, it's not just 1 or 2 days it takes me to recover. It's like a week it takes me to recover, and I feel like shit and I'm not clear. And, when you've got a lot of people that are relying on you and a lot of responsibilities as an individual, you as well. You're like, fucking hell, I got a crank here. So, but mate, like I'm not immune, as is no one. He's immune to like feeling shit and feeling deflated and feeling scared, and like that's just the reality. But like the more consistent you can be, the better you feel, and the easier it is to make decisions, the easier it is to perform. So so what time you wake up, and do you practice fitness or you do running? Like,
So I usually get up at like 4:45. Depends. If I'm doing a big run in the morning, that's earlier. But yeah, 4:45 this morning. I got up at 4:45. I went and met a mate, ran just under 12 Ks, and then come to the office. Tomorrow I'll go to the gym. But it's always some sort of weight training or running, and I do that every day, or like most days. It's like 5 to 6 days out of 7 every week, and I have been like that for like ever. And then, we have a chef, so we get nice meals cooked for us in the office, which is good.
You track calories and stuff, or you kind of...
Not really. Like, I eat pretty consistently every single day. Like, I have similar meals every day. My big thing is sugar. I fucking love sugar. So, like, that's where I got these little pudgy bits on the side of me. But, yeah, overall, I'm consistent with what I do. That's the good thing.
And business-wise, like the moment you walk into office, like, are there specific tasks that you kind of focus on, or like how do you prioritize specific
Not really.
things?
It's whatever the fuck I need to do that day. Like, it's like, what fire do I need to put out? What needs my attention, essentially. Getting back to clients, thinking about new marketing ideas, all that type of shit. So... Like it's not like with it when you're a founder or the CEO, whatever you want to call you. When you just roll into the office, you're like as a salesperson. Okay, boom, get to my calendar. I've got these calls today. Confirm them all, and then bang out calls. Like me, I don't have that. I get to the office and I'm like, what have I got to do today? Have I got to work on this? Have I got to work on this? Have I got to work on that? So it's a good and a bad thing. Sometimes I wish I could just go and be like, fuck, I'm just going to do this all day, every day, not really have to think. Bro, what the fuck? I keep yawning.
You've been awake since 4 a.m. pretty much. You had a run. It's been a long day with you.
I generally start yawning when I eat food, and I just had a big banana smoothie before I come in here, so that's probably why. But yeah, that's the pros and the cons to being the founder, right? It's like you don't really have a set thing to do every single day, and it's hard to work out what the priority is. But you just gotta go with it. Like I know that without sales and marketing, this business doesn't run. Without revenue in the door, the business don't run. So that's generally my focus most days is sales.
And if you'd had one habit that you would be able to link to kind of all of your success, would you say that's waking up and like doing the exercise so you're like fresh and sharp?
Yeah, some people like James, our ops director, he's a night owl. Like he couldn't think of anything worse getting up in the morning early, but like he stays awake really late and loves it. I'm like, fuck me, by like 7:30, man, I'm cooked. There's no chance I'm hanging around to have like intelligent conversations. But like first thing in the morning is when I'm the best. It's when I've got the most energy. It's when I'm the clearest. It's when I'm the most fired up. It's when I have the least amount going on. So that's when I love to get shit done.
And with ultramarathon running, like I was very impressed with some of the runs that you've done. When did you get started with that, and what sort of your training routine look like?
Oh fuck! When did I get started with it? I got started. I think I ran my first half marathon in like 21 or 22. And then, you go from a half marathon to a marathon, from a marathon to your first like ultra to 60K, from a 60K to 100K, from a 100K to a 100 miler, from a 100 miler to a 200 miler, and, just that progress. So that's how it's progressed, legit.
Yeah, with the Delirious West, it's like 200 miles. It's like
205,
300K kilometers.
330, yeah.
And how much time did they give you to run this one?
I'm not sure how much time you give you, but it took me 72 hours on the dot to do. I started at like 10 a.m. on the Thursday, and I think I finished at 10 a.m. on the Sunday.
Crazy.
Or was it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? That's right, yeah.
How many hours do you sleep every single day? Not much.
Oh, fuck. It's not like you going to bed. Like, you come into an aid station, you'll lay down and have a quick kip and refresh, and then you're back out there and you're into it. Like in the nights, obviously Western Australia is hot as fuck, right? So in the nights it's the coolest. So you want to try and move when it's cool. But it's like I come fifth in that race. But the difference between like me as a runner, I would say that like I'm a midfield runner in these events, and then like the front guys is fucking wild. I'm not kidding. It's like out of control. For example, I did a 100 miler at the start of this year in the Blue Mountains. It was like 7,500 meters of elevation or something. No, tall light. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, 8,000 meters of elevation actually. So like going up Mount Everest, and it took me 32 hours I should have done it faster, but I didn't train like I should have. And the winner done it in 19, I think, or 18.
That's insane.
And like I'm moving. I didn't have any like big, like I had like maybe a 20-minute nap at one of the aid stations like early in the morning on day 2, maybe like 5 a.m. I had like a 20-minute kip to refresh myself, and I'm moving the whole time. Like you never stop. You're either like power walking or running, and then you're like, bro, you fucking finished 12 hours before me. What's happening? It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, so some serious pros.
There's just levels to everything, right? Like it's impressive that I can run like that, but when you come to the runs and you see the difference between me and the guys who win, you're like, what the fuck?
Crazy stuff, Jack. Thank you so much for sharing your business growth, your portfolio growth, and the mindset stuff as well.
My pleasure.
It's been incredible, and I'm sure for all the people that have been listening, they're very excited to connect with you and potentially even purchase property to you. Where can they find you?
Fuck, if you can't find me online, then something's wrong with you, that's for sure. Henderson.com.au is our website. Jack C. Henderson is my Instagram. Google my name, Jack Henderson. You won't struggle to find me, I don't think.
Thank you so much for dropping all the value and
thank you, Cos. Give me some skin, brother.
Appreciate
You're a good man.
Thank you,
bro.
Just want to say a quick thank you for making it through all the way through the end. I personally really enjoyed this conversation that I had with Jack Henderson. Learned a lot about specifically how to structure your company to invest in property in the future, right? And if you found this one valuable, if you've got any questions, drop them in the description down below. And what I'll also do is I will leave links to our other podcasts as well, right? So if you've enjoyed this one, I'm very confident you'll enjoy our other pods. They're all about business growth. They're all about self-development. We've had some incredible guests, people from Shark Tank, people that have grown the business to $1 billion a year. They're all going to be in the description for you to watch. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and drop your comment down below.